Boy, it looks like this last week we opened up a can of worms in the community as this story has got big, right? Guys, I'm thejbgunner. This is Crime Time. Today we're going to be talking about all the different things that's occurred this weekend, a potential second Elantra. We're going to be talking about, spoiler, it's not who you think it is. I will just say that. But then we also have a guy by the name of Dave, who is a frat guy in Moscow, Idaho, who has recently came out, spoke to Daniel from the Drunk Turkeys, as well as Lana from Truth and Transparency. We're going to talk about some of those details that he spoke of. We're, of course, going to talk about Emma and Demetrius, because to me, right now, they look like strong suspects. As each day goes, I believe it's less and less Bryan Kohberger. We'll get into all this. I'm thejbgunner. This is Crime Time. Let's go ahead and get things started. Let's do it.
Bring it back.
What's going on, everybody? As you guys know, I'm thejbgunner, and this is Crime Time with thejbgunner. Before we get started, I want to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody that supports this channel or any of my other channels, regardless of the method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. So thank you guys so much. And if you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below, support the channel, join the Gun Squad today. And while you're down there, you can also find some of my other content, whether it be my politics channel, my live stream channel, my gaming channel. I'm just going to warn you, though, if you're a snowflake, just don't even bother going over there, because so many of you over here, especially that's left-leaning, you go over there against my warning, and then what you end up doing is you come back over here whining and crying because you can't handle my politics or my views on certain things. Of course, we get it. We understand it hurts your peepees, but stay the fuck over here if you don't want to go see that shit, all right? Because if you're here for the true crime, I'm going to keep true crime coming, and it is what it is, but you may not agree with my politics. If not, suck my dick, I don't care. Now, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, as you guys know, in my last video, I brought up Emma, also brought up Demetrius. Now, when it comes to these two people, don't start barking, dog. God damn it. When it comes to these two people, these are two people that in the city of Moscow and in that general region, whether it be Washington, wherever, basically these are two people that have a shady past. They're clearly drug dealers, and we're going to have a little bit of confirmation on that here today. And in my opinion, I think that if we find out that Emma was a DoorDash driver, potentially even that night, it adds an extra little element to the story. I'm going to make this clear to you. I do not think Bryan Kohberger committed this crime. I haven't thought it for a very, very long time. Now, some of you guys have you tried to counter that. You said, well, what about all these coincidences? We'll get into that a little bit later in the video, but we're going to get things rolling here. By the way, with a lot of new subscribers from the last video, I want to say thank you all for being here. But what I want to do is I want to clear some things up. Now, over the weekend, we saw, whether it will be, regardless of what channel it was, could have been Harsh Reality, which you guys know I have a lot of respect for Harsh Reality, but or Lana's channel, we've heard people come out and say that there is a second white Elantra. Many people have came out and said that Demetrius's brother has a white Elantra. Now, I want to make something clear to you. Sloothy Goosey, that beautiful woman that you'll see here in just a second, she has actually came and countered this. And so I want to make a correction, even though I never reported it. I still want to make a correction for the community as a whole. I understand sometimes you go with some shit, you flow with it, and had it not been my days off, I might have done the exact same thing. So what are we talking about? We're talking about this white Elantra right here that you see in this image. Now, there are people saying that this is Demetrius's brothers. Now, Sloothy Goosey says, to clarify for those who saw the post earlier, I removed after finding seller docs and pics of the buyers in front of the house beside the white Elantra in September of 2022. So far, I haven't found any connection between these people who moved from another state and Demetrius Robinson. So even though I've been really hard on Demetrius Robinson in my last video, I do want to make it clear that it does not look like this second white Elantra has anything to do with Demetrius Robinson or his brother or anything like that, right? But I'm not letting him off the hook though. You know how the shit goes. But in these documents that Suti has, she did look into it further. That particular house sold on in May of 2022 to a married couple who owned the white Elantra pictured in the Google Earth image that was captured on September of 2022. In the background of some of their Facebook photos, so far, I don't see connections to Demetrius or Emma. Now, here's what I want to show you, okay? There is a real estate tax affidavit. Now, previously there, as you see here, something S. Robinson, an unmarried person, at this address in Tacoma, Washington. There was a buyer, William and something Williams and Williams, a married couple, and I do believe these are actually Caucasians. I'm just saying it because clearly there's a difference between Demetrius or his family and these people, right? So anyway, the assessed value was $383,000, whatever it is. The bottom line here is that this house was sold. Date of document, May 2nd, 2022. So this house is not the Robinson's house. I just want to make it clear. And so you may say, okay, did the car move with him? And that makes a lot of sense. But remember, this photo off Google Earth was in September of 2022. So people are talking about this car and trying to connect it to Demetrius. And look, I fell for it too. Like I said, I just was working, so I didn't see it. Here are the owners of the house. This is from their Facebook group. From their Facebook, obviously they've been blackened out by Susie Goosey. And right here is them in front of that very Elantra. Do you see what I'm saying? So it seems that they had this car already, and it would make sense since they are the ones that took over. And at the time of the Google Earth image, they wouldn't have, Demetrius or his family would not have been there. Now, so I just wanted to get that out there because a lot of people have been talking about it, and there's other things that a lot of people have been talking about, especially when it comes to Bethany Funk. Come to find out, there may have been some shit that Bethany Funk held back from the police, and we'll be talking about that probably in a separate video once I do a little bit more research on it. Now, let's get to old thug Demetrius and Emma because we're going to talk about something that recently also happened. Here on Lana's channel, you'll see Idaho 4 exclusive interview with a U of I student. Now, I am not going to play her video. I'll let you guys go take a look at her video. Her channel is Truth and Transparency. But also, another video that's good to look at is the Drunk Turkey Show. If you look at him, he has an 18-minute, I believe, summary of an interview he did with him, and I also listened to this interview, so I want to go over some of the details, because in this interview, what it does is it paints the picture even more clear to me. Even though the dude hung out with Emma and Dee, to me, it paints the picture a little bit more clear about how they could potentially be involved. Now, I want to ask you guys a question, because I know a lot of you guys have come out and said this has to be Kohberger. I want to ask you this question. After you hear this and you hear how much of a party house this was, a drug house, and all of this, right? I got a question. What kind of dude, especially just single random dude, would pick one of the biggest drug house and party houses to go to in the middle of the night on a Saturday night to kill someone? Okay? Now I just want to ask that question because I want for you to believe Brian Kohberger did this alone specifically. You have to believe that this dude made plans on a Saturday night to go to one of the biggest party houses in this area, in this region, a place where drugs potentially flew regularly. You thought that he would have went there and murdered these people. He planned to go there, not knowing if there was going to be 10 people, 20 people, 30 people in this house, 150 people, and he went into this fucking house to do what? Randomly kill 4 people, and you know he saw Dylan if he was there. But anyway, we're gonna get to all this. Let me get to all this because I want to give you some of the notes that I took. So once again, we're talking about this interview right here with Alana from Truth and Transparency. So who did she interview? She interviewed a man by the name of Dave. It's not his real name, but that's a synonym. That's not Dave, right? So also another thing is that they used a voice changer. So in the beginning, going into the interview, going into it, as I was listening, I was like, this is going to be some bullshit. Why? Because we had the WSU Kim mom, whatever the fuck that is. We had the Justin character. We've had a lot of people that has been full of shit throughout this case. And I've told you guys about it. But there was something that really stuck out to me. Do you guys remember when Steve Gonsalves says they didn't have to go upstairs? I think it's starting to come to me. So anyway, talking to Dave. Now, who is Dave? Dave is a frat guy. He was friends with Caden Young. That's who he knew majority of. That's who he really knew. Now, who's Caden Young? Caden Young is the kid that overdosed off their dope and died. Now, he was the president of one of the fraternities. And so Caden, the reason this man is speaking out is because of Caden Young's death. And this is what he claims, okay? Now, oddly enough, what this man also said, remember how it's been rumored, and even WSU Kim mom said that hours prior to the police being called, they were called. Like the whole, like people knew that the event had taken place within the fraternities, and we all realized that they had called friends prior to calling the police anyway. So that is actually a true story. That's been confirmed. Because once again, when the police got there, there was multiple people there. They had already reached out to other people, to their friends, to the frat people. They'd already done this. Now, here's one of the things that was weird in this entire interview. The police claimed that they had spoke to 500 people, did 500 interviews. Now, Dave, he actually lives adjacent to the murder house, and he literally could see it from his windows. And oddly enough, he not even just him, but he doesn't know a person that was actually questioned by the police. And as many of you guys know, because we've talked about this for a long time, when we're talking about, we've all thought that the police have dropped the ball on this. We've all even thought that maybe they rushed and arrested Brian Koberger because they needed to have a victim. They needed to have a perp in order to continue to get revenue for the schooling. The school is a big deal in Moscow, Idaho. And so they wanted people to feel safe, in my opinion, and ultimately arrested someone quickly. But we'll get to all this. Another thing I wanted to show you real quick, if you look right here, she's got other videos, Truth and Transparency. Xana Cornoto allegedly sold drugs as a hobby. And we'll get to that because this is a very big deal in this story, right? Now, Dylan or Bethany, one of those two had to be the person to call the Pi Fives, right? This is about 8 or 8:30 p.m. This is what this dude, Dave, one of the Idaho students that's now speaking out, said. Emma and Dee were the dealers of the whole city. I'm giving you some bullet points that I jotted down, right? Emma and Dee, these two right here, he said were the dealers of the area. He knew them. He chilled with them. He said he had stories about Dee and Emma. He would tell them off the phone, off the interview. So based on what he is saying, these two were the big drug dealers. Now, there's more to this because Emma was clearly friends and had hung out. And as he said, that these people knew the King Road house, right? In fact, Xana Cornoto also was a drug dealer. This is based on him. He said he had bought from Xana Cornoto. And we'll talk about that because when you add that together, you have these two drug dealing, perhaps the biggest drug dealers in the town. You have Xana Cornoto potentially also drug dealing. The question is now, okay, remember when Steve Gonsalves says they didn't have to go upstairs? What is it that Steve knows that we don't know? Maybe now we know. Maybe he knows the target really was Xana Cornoto. Because remember, if Xana was selling dope, and this was a dope house, and maybe some fucked up shit took place. Here's the funny thing. A lot of you people that went with the cartel theory, you might even be right. Because Dave basically said that he fears Demetrius because of the connections that Demetrius may have. He believed it could be cartel related. Now, that's mind-blowing, right? Because you guys know me. I didn't believe it was anything to do with the cartel. I still don't. But I will be honest, it makes me double think that, right? Demetrius doesn't seem like a cartel guy. He seems like a wannabe fucking rapper. He seems like a wannabe. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't seem like that guy. He seems more like a up and coming wannabe Suge Knight or some shit. But I don't see cartel. But I'll leave that up to you guys. So if Emma, and by the way, he said that Emma was a hustling drug dealer. Like, she would go everywhere. They would deliver everywhere. They'd go to bars. So Emma seemed to be, I hate to say it, but the runner for Demetrius when it comes to this. We all kind of looked at Demetrius as kind of a pimp doing this and that. She's modeling, he's promoting that shit. She's out here pushing dope, party drugs. It's college town, and I understand that. Look, people can do all that shit. I don't give a fuck. I personally don't do drugs, but if you motherfuckers do, that's on you. But the fact that they were the drug dealers, he said he's chilled with them. He said the Idaho 4 knew them. Xana herself was also selling dope. This makes me think a little bit, right? I mean, doesn't this make you think? He says he bought from both them and Xana. Xana he said, hosted a lot of parties for him and his fraternity. So that was kind of crazy, right? He hadn't heard about the fight between Ethan and Xana and someone at the frat house, so he didn't know what the fuck that was. But I'm just kind of throwing this all out there. If Xana, we've all said from the beginning this is drug related. We all believe this. And I know some of you believe Kohberger could be involved as well, but I guess what I'm looking at here is think about these people right here. Think about these two. If you watched my last video, then you understand the connections that could be. Now, if we throw into the mix that Xana was drug dealing, let me ask you a serious question. What if Xana got a front from these people and Xana didn't pay it back? Who the fuck knows what was happening? But I'll tell you what. Do you remember this statement? I told Adam everything. What did you tell Adam? I told him everything. Keep in mind, Emma was going to bars and clubs and people's houses and selling dope and whatever according to this guy, right? Let me ask you a question. Is it possible that Maddie or whoever, because remember they said they're going to get you. In that footage where he was talking about, I told Adam everything. He said, they're going to get you. Who's there? Is that possible? Is that possible? Remember, they didn't have to go upstairs because Xana was on the second floor. Is Xana Kernodle the fucking target? Is it drug related? And is it potentially she may have owed them money? I don't know. I'm just throwing out theories. I'll let you guys get to that. All right? Now, WSU Kim, the WSU mom Kim, the thing about this is I didn't believe her at all, but she does look a little bit more credible after this, and let me tell you why. Kim said also that her daughter knew of this about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, which obviously was hours before the police were called. Now, this guy kind of confirms that because they were doing it through Snapchat and group chats. They knew about it as well. They weren't sure if it was a stabbing or an overdose. They were hoping it was an overdose, but this Dave guy said they were also aware at that early. In fact, he went over and over. He kept talking about, he kept bringing up how he was shocked that the WSU Kim, that her daughter knew. He was like, well, how the fuck did they know? So clearly, this, whether it be Bethany, whether it be Dylan, they were getting this information out before even the police knew. We're talking about hours before the police knew. Now, the question has to be, why? Why were they doing all of this without calling the police? Is it potential? Remember, we all theorized that this was a drug house and they were getting rid of dope, and Dylan and Bethany was getting rid of dope, and that's what we theorized, right? Now it makes a lot more sense if you put all the pieces together. This clearly, to me, looks like a drug issue gone bad. And once you get to fucking people up and killing people, you got to take out the other witnesses. Now, here's what's weird to me, right? Why wouldn't they take out Dylan? Why wouldn't they take out Bethany? I'm a little confused here. Are those two of Demetrius's girls? Just curious. I'm just throwing some questions out. I know a lot of you motherfuckers, you don't like when people theorize, but that's what we do. This is a big game of Clue. Or you don't like it, suck my dick. Anyway. They say that the message had to come from inside the house, which it would. When all these messages were going around at 9:30, remember the door was open, there only could be two different people that could start making them calls. He believed that it came from Bethany Funk's phone, and that she would, and the same thing with the 911 call. And I think we're going to find out to be the case. He thinks it was Bethany contacting other people. That would be a weird twist, because now all of a sudden they say that Brian Kohlberger knows Bethany knows some shit that could exonerate him. So you see how it's all weirdly adding up, but not yet not adding up? These texts were before 9:30 in the morning. Like I said, they didn't know if it was a stabbing or an OD. It was a drug house. He feared that Demetrius was in the cartel. And another thing he mentioned is that him nor his sorority or his fraternity brothers or whatever, none of them recognized Brian Kohlberger. None of them had ever seen Brian Kohlberger. None of them even, so when the arrest was made, they were like, who the fuck is this guy? Makes sense, huh? So I want you to think about this. If this guy, Brian Kohlberger, was going around stalking this place so often, you would have thought he would have saw the in and out, the constant in and out and all this. Here's another thought. Is it possible that people knew that this was a drug location and that they went to rob them? You got to ask yourself who would have done that, and maybe the robbery went wrong. I don't know. I'm just throwing these out there. The whole didn't have to go upstairs thing is what makes me focus on Xana and the potential connection with these people. If Xana was kind of the drug pusher of the house, and maybe these people were the supplier of the house, 2 and 2, right? Like, I don't know. But clearly these people push drugs. There's a dead kid right now because these two push drugs. That is an absolute fact. There's no way around that. Caden Young's dead. I think that's his name, Caden Young, because of the situation. Now, I want your guys' opinion on this because, look, man, I don't want to just accuse two people. I don't know if these people did it or not. But what I do know is that the whole concept that me and you have talked about for 6 months with this case, that is potentially drug related, things like this, it's starting to fall in place. Now, I do want to bring up something. Because one of you guys in my comment section, in fact, let me pull it up here. You guys, it's always funny to me when you guys try to defend or try to go anti-Kohlberger on me. I want to bring up a comment that we have here, okay? Let me go ahead and take these off. It says, so you think Brian's phone being turned off at the time of the murders is a coincidence? Let me tell you something. My phone is turned off. My phone dies all the time in the middle of the night. Because a lot of times I'll go in there, I'll be watching a video, I'll just sit it up next to the pillow next to me, maybe forget to plug it in. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I've said this before, his phone being off during that time doesn't really mean shit. But it doesn't prove anything, actually. That's not going to be admitted. That doesn't prove anything. Then he says, you think all those cell phone pings are a coincidence? By the way, this is Music Equals Life, so I told you I'd respond to you, sir. And here's my thing about this. If you know anything about the cell phone towers in that area, they cover a 27 square mile radius. Now, you have to understand, Brian Kohlberger only lived like 8 to 10 miles away from the Idaho 4 house, right? I'm going to tell you whose cell phone probably pinged off that house a lot more than Brian Kohlberger's, considering Emma only lived 0.9 miles away, a 3-minute car ride, not even that. I'm pretty sure Emma and Dee's phone probably hit on them towers way more than Kohlberger's. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you think him messaging one of the victims on Instagram is coincidence? Tell me who he messaged. Tell me who he messaged and where you got that information from. Because that's not in the affidavit. That's just, News Nation, you got it from Banfield? Okay. Let's go continue on. Do you think the white Elantra is a coincidence? No, I don't think that is. I definitely think that Brian Kohlberger was in that area a lot. He only lived 8 miles away. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me, I think Brian Kohlberger was in that area a lot. Now, the white Elantra could be an issue, but how many white Elantras are there? Are we sure it's a white Elantra? Are we sure? Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know. But anyways, I would hate for somebody to be in jail right now because everybody was just looking for a white Elantra. What if the white Elantra wasn't used in this at all? Remember Enan Harsh and other people saying there was a black SUV with rims looked like a drug dealer was around there? Jesus Christ. I wonder what Demetrius drives. Just curious. Okay? Not sure. You think him changing his license plate after the murders is a coincidence? No, because his birthday was a week later and his license plates expired. If you watch the body cam footage of when he got pulled over by the female cop, clearly it said his license plates expired on like November 20th, 2022. So no, I don't find it a coincidence at all that he got his license plates changed when they expired in November. So he got them changed in November before he had to go see his family in Pennsylvania. Do you get what I'm saying? So no, I don't find that a coincidence at all. Let's see. Taking the trash to his neighbor's trash cans was for nothing. Bro, do you really think this man murdered 4 people and then carried the evidence with him to fucking Pennsylvania? Do you think people are going to commit murders or a crime or anything like this and then purposely drive cross country with the fucking evidence, with the, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Remember, he was there still in Pennsylvania. He was there, there and still in Idaho for a whole nother month plus. Any evidence he had, I assure you, if he did it, would have been thrown away in Idaho. Or Washington, that's what I meant to say. That's kind of crazy. All the video footage of the white Elantra driving around on King Road at the time of the murders, can you show us that video footage? Just curious. What video footage? You saying from that night? We'll see, because I still haven't seen that. And I don't think you've seen it either. But I'm listening. Let's see here. He just so happens to be the height the witness saw. Come on, man. Which witness? Dylan? The one that was frozen in fear for 8 hours? How is he the height? But anyway, that's hearsay. That's not even a thing. He just happens to have bushy eyebrows, does he? I think a lot of people do. I don't see his eyebrows as being that fucking bushy. Shit. Those two over here, Emma and Dee, have bushy fucking eyebrows. Just saying. He just happens to study criminal justice. Yeah, he happens to be a PhD. He happens to be going for his PhD. That actually, let me say this, him studying criminal justice goes for him, not against him. Just saying. Also, do you think Emma would be strong enough to kill 4 people with a knife? Who the fuck said Emma did it? Do I think Emma killed anybody? No. No, I don't think Emma killed those people. You think that I think Emma did it and not Dee? Where the fuck did you get that from? One of them being a relatively large man. Exactly. There's more. I could go on and on. Come on, bro. And I can gladly respond to everything you're going on, right? Because I think this happens with a lot of you people. I don't think you understand what I'm saying in my videos. I don't. Why would anyone think that I said Emma killed anybody? That's not what I said. I've never said that. I never thought that at all. At all. If any of those two did it, of course it would be Dee. Why would it be Emma? Just saying. Why in the fuck would it be Emma and not Dee? Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, no, I get it. There's a lot of things that News Nation's reported, and you're going with the official Brian Kohlberger did it narrative. I get that. But to me, there's not much evidence out there. And I get sick and tired of people that's never been to jail or never been through any of these cases telling me there's going to be a lot more that the cops didn't put in an affidavit. That's not true. Every affidavit I've ever had and every case I've ever dealt with had 85 to 95% of the shit that they had on me. The only thing that the affidavit won't have on it is things that they found after the arrest affidavit. Because think about how weak the evidence in the affidavit is. There's a man that you believe murdered 4 people. You're going to try to put the heavy hitting shit in the affidavit so you can obtain the arrest warrant. Trust me when I tell you, man. The affidavit's probably going to have 85% of what the police have, except for anything they might have found since then. Make sense? Since his arrest. Hopefully that makes sense. Guys, I think the interview with Dave was very credible. Dave sounds very credible, very genuine, and I think Lana did a great job with that. I think it's awesome that, I mean, I have no clue why he's coming forward, but he is. So, I mean, from what he says, it's because he's Caden Young's friend. So, I don't know. He doesn't seem to think it's Demetrius or Emma, though. So I think that, you know, but I also know that he hangs with them. He's hung with them and he buys drugs from them. So maybe he's got a biased opinion there. But he did confirm that they are drug dealers and that was a drug house and that Xana even sold dope. He bought it from her as well. I think there's a lot more here. And I'm gonna, you know, I'm eventually gonna go back to other news when it comes to this. But I just want to say in closing that I don't think people should just overlook Emma and D. It makes a lot more sense than Brian Kohlberger. Because like I said, I'm not seeing evidence for Brian Kohlberger. The evidence that we have isn't solid enough. I don't think he would be found guilty. And I don't believe that this man, now that I know how much of a party house and drug house this house was, it makes no sense that some awkward incel that y'all think he is would go and on a Saturday night into a house that's known to have multiple people that a DoorDash driver was just at and go in there to kill 4 people. You would have to be a bad motherfucker to think you could do that and ride out and get away with it. Does Brian seem like that to you? Does Brian seem like the type of guy that thinks he's a badass? Think about that. Because that's what you would have to be. To not give a fuck how many people were in the home Saturday night, you're going right in, fuck them, I'm going to kill them all. Does Brian seem like that to you? He don't seem like that to me. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about this. I want to give a big shout out to Harsh Reality and Lana and Drunk Turkeys for covering this case. They're doing it all really, really well. I wanted to put my 2 cents in on this because many people asked me what I thought about the car, and I got to give Sleuthy Goosey credit for giving us the information on the car. So the car is not Demetrius's or Demetrius's brothers or anything like that, but a lot of other stuff seems to be weird. A lot of kids seem to have known about that at 9:30 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, right around the time that the front door was left open, remember? Just saying. Guys, I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Let me know in the comment section what you think about all this, what you think about the fact that it's a drug house. I think if you were to believe this and everything that the interviewer said and everything, it kind of confirms things that we've just already thought, which to me makes it less likely Brian Kohlberger did it. To me, drug deal gone wrong. Remember, in the beginning when the Venmos, we all thought that was possible anyway. Drug deal gone wrong, whatever the case may be. And when it comes to Brian Kohlberger, I just don't think he looks or seems like the guy ballsy enough to just go in balls deep in a house that big, with that many people, that kind of reputation. He's like, fuck it, I'm killing everybody. I just don't think he seems like that type. But I'm curious what you think. If you guys like what I do here and you find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Join the Gun Squad today. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. I love you guys. I'm going to get up out of here. Have a great Monday. Peace out.